Alright guys, as I'm recording this, it is 10:32 on Thursday night, October 26th. 30 minutes before Mario Odyssey is available to play. I have it preloaded all the way. I'm ready to fucking play this game. Um, it might not be the best game this year, only because of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but I am super excited to play Mario Odyssey. Very pumped. And while I wait, I want to get this video out because it might be a while till I play Fire Emblem Warriors again. Nintendo, for some reason, decided to release Fire Emblem Warriors 1 week before Mario Odyssey. Now, I know Koei Tecmo technically developed Fire Emblem Warriors since it is a Warriors game, but I've had 1 week to play it before the game I was more anticipating came out, but I just couldn't bring myself to skip Fire Emblem Warriors, as I am such a big fan of both franchises. And I was really disappointed with Hyrule Warriors, and I was kind of just hoping on a whim that Fire Emblem Warriors would fix all of the problems with Hyrule Warriors, and I didn't want to wait. I had to get the game that day it came out, and I didn't care about the reviews. And to my surprise, it did. It is a better game than Hyrule Warriors, and it is thanks to the much better source material that's Fire Emblem, which lends itself way better to a Warriors game. As probably the biggest issue with Hyrule Warriors was that there was a big lack of characters, and in Fire Emblem Warriors, it definitely feels bigger and badder, and that is greatly thanks to probably the best mechanic for as far as a new mechanic goes in a Warriors game, and that is that because it's a Fire Emblem game, Fire Emblem's about controlling multiple units in a battle. It's about tactics. And that feeling of tactics somehow found its way into this Warriors game that's normally just a hack and slash game. At least there's some tactics in Warriors games where you have to um, protect certain people, protect certain bases, and take certain bases in certain orders. Sometimes some bases are closed off until you capture all the bases. These are present in many, many different Warriors games. And here, it's just they decided to let you control 4 units at once. Now, there are some Warriors games like Warriors Arichi, and I haven't played Warriors All Stars yet, but I can already tell. In those games, you do get to command 4 units at once, but they're all inside of you, and when you switch to a character, you switch on the spot. So for some of you guys who've only played Hyrule Warriors, um, yes, Warriors Arichi is also on Wii U. Warriors Arichi 3 is the one I played. You could switch characters on the spot. It was a fun game. But ultimately, Hyrule Warriors was still a great game just because of the gameplay, and playing as Link and Zelda was pretty fun, but most of the characters weren't that fun to play. Some of the best characters weren't even that good until you got like other weapons for them. I mean, it was all fine, but oh yeah, I think my favorite character besides Link was probably Ganondorf, and it's like that's Ganon should feel fun, but it should be more than just Link, Zelda, and Ganon. I mean, I know they're the three keepers of the Triforce, but you can't make a compelling Warriors game with just so little characters. The other characters were just boring and sucked. I know some people probably liked Impa. That's fine if you liked Impa, but I didn't really like Impa. I spent the whole game just playing as Link and occasionally Ganon. Uh, Hyrule Warriors was okay, but a disappointment. There also wasn't much to do after you beat the game. There was this huge mode where you got to like hunt down, you got to do all these missions to unlock more missions, and it was like, it was made to look like the original Zelda map, and people might have thought that was giving them a bunch of content, but to me it was just you had to do so much work to unlock the more fun missions. And so many missions. Oh, I'm being bored to sleep just talking about that game. I've found myself in this 1 week with Fire Emblem Warriors glued to Fire Emblem Warriors. Like I said, it's mainly thanks to that new mechanic of controlling 4 units at once. They are not stuck inside of you. These 4 units are running all over the map, and you can swap to them at any point and you will be where they are on the map. You can also command them to go anywhere, and then you can just switch to them whenever they are where you wanted them to be. So you're micromanaging, much like an RPG. You're micromanaging all over the place and just basically having the most fun possible. I mean, think about Grand Theft Auto 5 and how much more the missions were fun thanks to the ability to be able to switch to characters. You never had to do the boring parts. You were always doing the fun parts. And that's sort of how it is here with Fire Emblem Warriors. Granted, the game is nothing but hacking and slashing. It is just a blast. Long-winded levels don't feel boring and like a real chore because you have 4 characters to choose from, and they could be potentially your top 4 favorite characters, or they could be, I don't know, a diverse cast. I would try to use, like, it also keeps this mechanic from Fire Emblem where sword beats axes, axes beat spears, but spears beat swords. And they actually do this in a very convincing way that doesn't make you feel overpowered or underpowered, where there's like basically there's like a break system. Like there's a system where once they stumble, you can attack them and break down this bar where you get to do a big attack. And if they are what you're weak against, if you beat them, then you get to do this really powerful version that hits like multiple enemies and does a ton of fucking damage. And if you are using a weapon that they're stronger than you with, then you will just have a harder time wailing on them, and it'll feel like they have more HP because you'll do less damage to them. Besides that, what you're seeing here is mostly elements from other Warriors games. It just really is helpful. So most of the game's characters are from Fire Emblem Awakening or Fire Emblem Fates. And I'm pretty sure it feels like there's more Fates characters than Awakening characters. But all things considered, there's more Awakening characters. There's more Awakening characters than I really thought of that would, like, if I had to pick a dream game of all my favorite Fire Emblem characters, Awakening is my favorite, but I probably wouldn't choose all the ones they chose. I was really excited to see Cordelia make an appearance, especially since there's a character from Fates who fights identically to her, and that character has a way more prominent role in the story. And then there's oh shit. There's also Seda is her name. She's in the same Fire Emblem game that Marth's from, which is the original Fire Emblem. And in that game, she's another character who flies on a horse and has a spear. They all 3 fight pretty identically, and so I was really surprised to see Cordelia, but I'm very happy to see Cordelia, as I actually liked her a lot in Awakening. But I was wondering if some of the other characters would appear, and they didn't. Instead, we got characters from Fates who kind of filled those roles, who did what they do. One thing that's a very puzzling decision is the non-inclusion of fan favorite Tharja, who is by far like one of the most iconic characters from Awakening. That's not one of the main characters. If you're going to feature characters like Frederick and Cordelia, why not Tharja? And it beats me, but there is another controversy with some of the characters we'll get to later. A lot of the characters from Fates are awesome. They feel amazing, and I don't even really like Fire Emblem Fates that much as a game, but playing as these characters in this game kind of makes you want to go back and play more. Eventually in the story, you do unlock Marth and Seda, and that's it. That's the only 2 characters you get from that game. Tiki is also in there. Tiki was in Awakening as well, so people know her, and she's kind of like a fan favorite. And I haven't been able to 100% the game yet. I did a lot of work to get all of the Anna mementos. They're kind of like treated the same way the skull spider, I forgot what they're called. Those things were in Zelda. The things from Ocarina of Time you had to collect that were in Hyrule Warriors. Those would unlock pieces of a picture. In this game, Anna will appear if you do certain conditions, and then she can give you a scroll. If you get the scroll, fuck, I'm so tired. Waiting for goddamn Mario to come out. If you get the scroll, then it gives you a piece of a picture, and of course, as you collect these, you don't just get them in the correct order, so you have to do a lot of work to get one full picture. Like a lot of work to get one full picture, because just beating the story mode will only get you like not even half of 4 different pictures. What happens is there's a history mode, and this is sort of like your mode from Zelda, where you got all to do all those bonus missions. The difference here is that I find these missions to be so much more fun, and they're incredibly satisfying to play. Not only that, but there's another element from Fire Emblem I forgot to mention that they brought over. That's the Master Seal element, which, if you know anything about the Master Seal, it basically lets you upgrade your class to a super version of that class. This is awesome. And they're kind of rare. Whenever you get one, it's exciting because you don't have that many, and you start to get more of them from playing the history mode, because playing story mode will only get you about a small handful of master seals, and as you get master seals, you can make characters into pimps, and it feels great. Your favorite characters can be badass. And then also, as you keep playing history mode, you start getting weapons that are way better than anything you could have got in story mode. As you do this, as you get the Ana Mementos, however, you also start to unlock more badass characters. And also, as you play history mode, I was able to come in contact with Lyn from Fire Emblem. In America, it was just called Fire Emblem, but it was the one on Game Boy Advance. And most people kind of know Lyn as being the assist trophy from Smash Bros. But hey, man, I like her, and I want to unlock her. So, I also was able to unlock male Corrin and female Robin as costumes for Robin and Corrin, which is great. That's a great addition. Funnily enough, I actually prefer the design for female Robin over male Robin. And when it comes to Corrin, I kind of like the male Corrin more than female Corrin. They want this decision to include female Corrin and a male Robin. I guess because they're supposed to be characters you pick the gender for, and they decided, hey, one should be a male, one should be a female, because they're kind of interchangeable. I actually would have preferred if they did it the other way around, but I kind of understand why they didn't, because Corrin, if Corrin was a male, there would have been a lot of males in the Fates franchise, and given making Corrin a female kind of adds some diversity to the game. And she kind of fights feminine anyway. Corrin fights feminine whether he's male or female. That's fine. You do have the option to change them to whichever one you prefer, so that's nice. I'm using female Robin now, and I'm probably going to put male Corrin on soon. Either way, eventually you will be able to unlock all the characters from Smash. Ike and Roy are in the game, and the other characters you are able to get through the story mode, like Marth, Lucina, almost said Chrom. Chrom's not in Smash, but technically he's in Smash, being a part of with Robin. And Robin, yes, of course, in the game too. And I can't believe I forgot to mention one of the coolest mechanics in this new game is another mechanic from Fire Emblem where you can pair people together. And yes, this will raise their bonds, which is really nice. But what's more importantly is that when you have a character partnered with you in your party, if they're one of your 4 characters you picked, you can swap between them. But if they're one of your 4 bonus characters on the map, you can't swap to them, but they will be able to be used in other ways. For instance, you can summon them to do a quick attack to be part of your combo, which is a great way to lengthen your combo. Or if you're a sword user fighting a spear user, why not have an axe user in your party? Send out that axe user, and they will do more critical damage to where you can pull off a bigger hit, and it won't be like you won't feel so sad that you're fighting what you're weak against. It's a great way to beat the power triangle, the rock, paper, scissors there, when you're using a rock against paper and you have a scissors in your back pocket. You can also, if you fill up both your special gauges, do a tag team special together, and usually it does insane amounts of damage, and you can kill a boss in one hit with those things. And even if they're way stronger than you, you can fucking obliterate them with those tag team specials. They're amazing. It's so fun to bond with different characters. and unlock other characters to their A+ ratings together. It's just a blast. Sadly, the reason why you do that in Fire Emblem is because in both Awakening and in Fates, you every time you do that, your child from the future will travel to the past and join your army. And so you could get a lot of different cool combinations of characters. And usually they will be the same child depending on which character is one of the parents. However, their stats and will change, and their special moves will change depending on who you're pairing together. So you could basically farm some really insanely powerful children to fight alongside you, and that's one of the more fun things about Fire Emblem. Lucina is a product of that, and Lucina is awesome. Now, there's one last thing I want to talk about with this game, and this is the part that will probably piss off a lot of people, and it has pissed me off. When it comes to fighting games, there's usually DLC involved, and when DLC comes out, it's kind of annoying because you have to wait for characters, and sometimes these characters are amazing. For instance, the most recent game, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, featured 3 DLC characters that really should have just been in the game from the beginning, because they add a lot more to the game once they're in the game. They are amazing. Black Panther feels great. Sigma feels awesome. Monster Hunter, I'm not that good with, but what she adds is very unique to the game. And considering so many characters were from the past Marvel vs. Capcom games, these characters would have done a lot to make the roster shine. And a reason why I can defend something like that over, and even what Street Fighter V does, even what Tekken's doing, what Injustice does, I can defend all of these DLC practices because as they come out, they give people reasons to go back and play these games again, when otherwise you would have no reason to go back and play this game again. And when a game has a multiplayer community, everyone's going to come back for the same reasons whenever there's a new thing and to add it in. So it's great. It's a great way to get people to come back. It's a great way to make me want to come back. When Sigma and Black Panther came out, me and my little brother sat down and played as them that day, and we had fun. I mean, but when it comes to DLC in a Warriors game, this is kind of annoying. Koei Tecmo loves DLC. It's very evident when you look at Dead or Alive 5 last round. That game, instead of doing a bunch of DLC characters, they just do costumes like crazy. And sometimes I buy the new ones, and I just kind of like, okay, well, I can't really enjoy this DLC until someone comes over who I want to play the game with, because until then, just playing arcade mode is something I've already done. It wasn't until they actually added in a new character, when they added in Mai from King of Fighters, that I was really enjoying playing the arcade mode all over again. But then they fucked it up and didn't give her any costumes. So it was like, okay, well, I beat the arcade mode with her once, and that's all I got to enjoy. Koei Tecmo doesn't know how to do DLC to make games last longer. Look at Hyrule Warriors, for example. I complain about this game not having many characters. Some people would say Hyrule Warriors has a good amount of characters because Young Link is in it, and Toon Link is in it. Young Link and Toon Link should have been in the game from day one. This is not an afterthought. For some reason, they decided that the only 3 games that will be represented in Hyrule Warriors will be Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword. Are you fucking joking? There was no reason why Young Link and Skull Kid couldn't have been both playable since day one. There is no reason why Toon Link and another character from what's another character from Wind Waker? They did put in Toon Zelda, which I think is kind of dumb, but either way, Toon Link is a character that made a ton of sense. I'm not with Young Link, they made him have the fighting style of he uses his masks to fight. That's perfect. That's exactly how Young Link should have fought. I do think he should have had like 3 weapons and not just the one, and make one of those weapons based more around the masks. But that's what I would have done if I was in charge of Hyrule Warriors. And with Toon Link, I would have done something similar as well. I would have made him have like 3 weapons. The 4th weapon, or the 3rd weapon, I want to say the 4th, because I would have made one of Toon Link's weapons based around the 4 Swords adventure games, where basically he would just summon a bunch of Link clones when he fights, and it would just be the four Links from Four Swords Adventures instead of being just like one Link with a sword. I think that would be a very interesting character for a Warriors game, and I don't think they ever did that, and it is kind of sad. Linkle is the only DLC character that I'm okay with because that is totally like an afterthought idea. There's I could totally buy that they didn't have that idea from day one, and I wouldn't have come up with that idea since day one. I think Linkle's a perfect example of a legitimate DLC character for a Warriors game. But the problem is with DLC characters in Warriors games is they don't actually expand the longevity of Warriors games. They just don't. I'm not going to come back and play Fire Emblem Warriors when more characters get released. And so here's my biggest pet peeve with this game. There's going to be 3 DLC packs for this game, and one of them will be based around Awakening, one of them will be based around Fates, and one of them will be based around the original Fire Emblem, if I'm to be correct. That is okay in itself, but the characters they're adding in, through 4 of them? Yeah. 4 of them I know are already in the game. You can actually fight them in the missions already present in the game. And they're a part of the cutscenes, and they are like the game makes you I actually thought I was going to get to play as one of the characters, and I was excited to see him, and then I didn't get to unlock him, and I was like, that's strange. Why don't I get to play as him? He was my favorite character in Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Why can't I play as him? That's another problem. When I was talking about Tharja being such a fan favorite character, you can't play as Tharja until the Awakening DLC comes out. That's fucking annoying. One of the characters that is a secret, or one of the characters that's not out yet, is Niles. Niles is an archer from Fates who has an eye patch. When I was fighting Niles, I noticed he played identical to some of the other archer characters in the game. So why do I want to buy him? Why is he DLC? What's the fucking point? Owain is in the game as well, and that is Lisa's son sent from the future. He's a part of the cutscenes. The game goes out of their way to show him, and I was excited to be able to unlock him. I was like, holy shit, there's so many Awakening characters in this game. This is amazing. I love how many Awakening characters there is in this game. Am I going to get to play as Long Q? Am I going to get to play as these other more abstract characters that maybe not everyone remembers? No. Owain is DLC. He's not in the game. You get to fight alongside him on the map, but he's not in the game. There is a female spear user that I'm not going to attempt to pronounce her name, but I actually used her in Fire Emblem Fates. I actually married her when I was doing the Hoshido family, and she is the only spear user in the game that's not on a flying horse. All the spear users in the game are on flying horses, which makes them very weak to archers. Making her very useful, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And yet, I can't play as her yet until I get the DLC. I also basically get a confirmation that, unlike Niles, she's actually a unique fighting character, and I don't get to use her. So, I'm not going to... Here's the thing. Yes, the game does add more history mode levels. A ton of more history mode levels. But there's some... It just feels like a really boneheaded decision to not include these DLC characters. The Fates ones or whatever, besides the one Fates character that's not in the game yet, is extremely important to Fates, as she is like a character who changes dramatically depending on which family line you go with. So I'm very confused as to why she is DLC and not just a part of the game. But besides that, who cares about the Fates DLC? I mean, she's the only one that really matters. She's the one that people are going to buy the shit for. Then there's Tharja, who, again, she should have just been in the game. That's annoying. That is so obnoxious. You know? And so, yes, there will be more history mode added to the game, but luckily Fire Emblem Warriors has so much bang for your buck already in the game. The history modes you get, it's so much content that's added on top of rebeating the game on hard to unlock all of the Ana mementos to unlock more characters. I'm able to unlock Ana, but the mission to unlock her, you have to be really fucking high level. I can do it now, but I do like no damage to enemies, so I have to keep exploiting the game, keep working on it, and sadly, it's 2 minutes. We are now 2 minutes away from Mario Odyssey coming out, so I'm gonna try to upload this video, and I'm probably not gonna play Fire Emblem Warriors for a little while because Nintendo cucked themselves. But I will return to Fire Emblem Warriors. I'm very happy I actually bought the game because when I start getting bored of Mario, this is like my time waster. I can sit anywhere, go to bars, or do anything, and just play the fuck out of Fire Emblem Warriors. And I've been finding myself just getting really addicted to it. So I'm sad that I have to already put it down, but at least I'm happy Mario's coming out, and I'm happy that I have this game for when I'm ready to come back to it. So overall, I'd say buy this game when it's on sale. I know if you're a Switch user, especially if you're a fan of either Fire Emblem or the Warriors games, it's amazing. It's a great game. If I had to give it a review score, I'd probably give it an 8 because I think it's a little bit above average. I think it's, and that for a Warriors game, that's saying a lot. And I've played a lot of these Warriors games, and this one's good. Okay, I've been playing them since the PS2, man. I've been playing them since Dynasty Warriors. This one is good. It's worth your time. Check it out. But check out Mario first.